hey guys, welcome back to the program. Today I'll be talking about the soundtrack to Twin Peaks, and here to talk about it with me is composer Ollie Helnwein. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, the reason I asked him to be on the program today is that this is what he does. He composes soundtracks for films, short films, not quite yet TV.
No, not really.
But we'll get there. You have won an Emmy, so that I think that counts.
There you go.
And so we kind of went back and forth on what to do, and you threw out a ton of great soundtracks. I kind of stepped in and said, why don't we talk about this? Because I've actually got a lot of viewer input that they want me to talk about this album, and I think it's a great soundtrack.
I'm glad you did. I think it's great.
It's one of the most memorable TV soundtracks I can think of and that I've seen in a long time. It definitely is unique, and so I can't wait to dive into this with you.
Yeah, me too.
And so let's get into this. So yeah, this originally came out in 1990, and as far as I understand it, there wasn't an actual US vinyl pressing. There was a UK one, but it only came out on CD and tape. This particular release is the Mondo release. It came out 2016.
Right.
This thing's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a cool cover.
It's director approved, apparently. Yeah,
that's good.
So David Lynch liked it, but it's just like, it's just a big old box die cut.
Yeah, that's cool.
This thing's really neat. This is the get some words by him and sort of some legal stuff.
It's funny how music can paint such a world and create such a mood for a film or a show like this,
Absolutely, it really is a character.
And it really ties in so well with that, because usually like an album that has like jazz vibes and like saxophones and brush drums and snapping and all that stuff that's going on.
I love that beatnik sound. Yeah, I love that.
But it just like really creates that world, in an unusual way.
Yeah, it definitely gave it a dreamy quality.
Yeah.
To the whole show. I only watched Twin Peaks recently.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd never seen it before.
Oh, okay.
I'd seen some Lynch stuff, but
Did you just do the whole thing in like a binge? Or?
Basically, yeah. Yeah, it was over a couple of weeks. And the themes of the music really started to become apparent when you watch it so compressed and together. You're just like, whoa, okay. Yeah. And I wasn't sure what to make of the opening theme, to be honest, because it is so kind of down-tempo. And then with the visuals of the logging industry, it's like, what am I watching? Like, what is this?
No, but I think it's all, it's all purposely done that way, I mean, a lot of his scores have this kind of strange hint of like 50s, 60s music incorporated in a way.
I feel like a lot of it is an American nightmare. Yeah. Kind of like it's sort of being filtered through a surrealist sort of thing. So much of what I love about Lynch is that he makes the ordinary seem frightening. I guess he wrote a lot of it on the roads.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's funny because did you ever see that? There's like a little interview where Badalamenti is talking about how he came up with the love theme.
Yeah, I think I watched that very interview, yeah.
Oh, that's cool, yeah, because he was saying he's just sitting there on his roads, with David Lynch next to him, and David is kind of feeding him like visuals of like, you see a dark forest.
Yeah.
And telling him stuff, and he starts laying down the mood as he's talking,
That was a really cool piece.
And she's getting close. Now reach some kind of climax. And I would go, and he said, oh, that's it. Oh, that's so beautiful.
I think that's what I love about that cue also, it's just like so simple, but then just kind of the chords that he goes to are so perfect, I feel like the simplicity is a great thing though sometimes, like that main theme, the Thor Palmer's theme. Yeah. It is so simple. Like if you listen to it or if you check it out, the right hand is basically kind of just walking up to some degree the scale, And then the left hand is just doing these kind of wide arpeggios over that, and just changing chords, But those little simplicities, I feel like are often more powerful than trying to get too intricate and, doing too much. Or it's also a stylistic thing, but I think that's what I like a lot about those David Lynch scores,
And this could be said about the whole soundtrack to Twin Peaks, but especially that song in particular, is that it almost goes over the edge of being over the top.
I feel like the whole score is a little bit like that. That's a funny thing. Like, there's a lot of cues that are, I think they're almost borderline cheesy in a way, but in just the right way,
What I didn't realize is that 3 of the songs off this album actually come off a 1989 release by Julie Cruz. It was a collaboration between her, Angelo, and David Lynch. She put out this album. And actually one of the songs, Falling. Okay, so Falling is, I think, track 2 on her album.
Right.
And that is, you take away the vocals, that's the theme to Twin Peaks.
Right.
Which I was like, wow, that's so interesting. She also appears in the show, I think, by the 2nd season, but she has a few songs on the soundtrack. Oh yeah, The Nightingale. She also does lyrics on that. That's one of her songs.
Right.
And Into the Night. Her album is almost like an unofficial companion.
I gotta listen to that.
To this. It's really cool. Like you can kind of hear.
Are they pretty similar, or is it?
It goes in different directions, but I feel like they do complement each other well.
Oh, I gotta check that out. That's really cool. He co-wrote it, or what? I mean, like he.
I don't know exactly what Lynch did, but I know that album came about with them all working together. And in preparation for, because this was originally a pilot that they shot a different ending so that if ABC didn't want it, they could sell it as a TV movie.
Right.
Or they could screen it as a movie, I think in the UK.
Right.
Anyway, what I found interesting is that Lynch even, to him, Twin Peaks was a soap of Blue Velvet. That's how he looked at it. And so knowing that, listening to the soundtrack again, I really felt like a lot of the music was sort of an homage to that style of organ playing for these soaps that existed in radio dramas, because they would do Days of Our Lives as a radio drama in addition to TV, and like some of that organ was used again, like in the 50s. I don't know why. The organ was huge. It baffles the mind.
No, I know. I do know what you mean. Yeah, it is funny. There is that element to it, even though I don't think there is any organ in the score. I know exactly what you're talking about. For some reason, when I listen to it, I kind of think back to that style of organ playing to some degree.
Right? Knowing Lynch's background when he grew up, knowing the music he gravitates towards, I'm sure in the back of his head, it made sense.
Because those organs were, I mean, they were like a 50s and 60s thing to some degree, I feel like,
Oh, absolutely.
when a lot of that stuff was coming about,
I mean, I don't think it was necessarily a conscious choice. I just think it fit, and that's why it fit for him, possibly, or one of the many reasons.
Right.
What's so funny is that Angelo also did National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. He did
Oh, really?
the score to that.
I feel like that kind of shows you how, like, the collaboration between a composer and director are such a big thing, that he can do something like this and then he can do that,
It feels a little dated, but then there's nothing else that really sounds like it either. Like, and that's what's so interesting is that it you hear it and you go, oh, that's Twin Peaks. You don't confuse it for like the new Marvel score, which sounds like Pirates of the Caribbean, which sounds like
definitely
you know what I mean. It's meant to stand out.
I feel like it could be intentionally, because even later films for David Lynch, he still has that same sound to some degree, and it's still, I don't know, it sounds, I feel like it's one of the big elements that kind of give it that tone or that quality, which is so important to a film, kind of creating your own world. Nowadays, there's a trend in film scoring, especially since a lot of people work with sample libraries and they're used to hearing this, insane perfection of every note is like perfectly dead on, and mixing technology and recording technology and all this is so much better and easier than it used to be.
Yeah.
Whereas something that I like about these old scores, you know, is that there are these imperfections. It almost adds more of a human quality, and yeah, I don't know, that imperfection I feel like is a big part of that, you know. I think that's also why scores were different back then. I mean, it was different musicians, it was a different style of playing, but also when you're recording to tape, you have to rewind, you know, there's a lot more stuff. You're actually recording on material that runs out where you have to put a new tape on and stuff, you know.
Tape's not cheap.
Exactly. Whereas with Pro Tools nowadays, it's just cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's do another take. Cool, let's just punch just bar 35 one more time, you know, until it sounds insanely clean like a sample library.
Right. And that kind of defeats the purpose.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much, Ali, for coming on the program.
Yeah,
really
thank you.
Appreciate it. It's been awesome talking with you. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to leave a comment down below. Until then, I'm your Vinyl Geek, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Well, hey guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of Talking Wax. I really had a great time talking with Ali. He is a really cool guy and I love his music. Now, if you want to hear more about what he does as a composer, I put a little video right there as well. So click away.